Howdy do y'all, this is John, and today I am counting down my list of my top 10 favorite movies of 2023. These are the movies that I personally view as my favorite movies to come out of this year. This is all just subject to opinion, and if y'all disagree with me on a few spots, that's fine. Okay, so without further ado, let's get down to it. My favorite movies of the year. Number 10 is Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo is a really good movie and a really good underdog story. The whole film deals with this young guy who's just trying to become a race car driver. It's been something he had been dreaming about for years, and man, the movie's entirely about not giving up on your dreams and working hard to achieve your goals in life, which I think is definitely something people need to hear more about today. And also, it's just entertaining. Number 9 is the Super Mario Brothers movie. For the first time, I can put a video game movie on here because Super Mario Brothers really delivered. It's just something that I wanted as a person who played Mario growing up as a kid. It's a really good Mario-esque story. You like the characters, you love the animation in the film, and it just simply took me back to my youth when I was a kid playing Mario games, especially Super Mario Galaxy. Although it's not an adaptation of Galaxy. Number 8 is Extraction 2. The Extraction movies on Netflix have been good so far, and honestly I think Extraction 2 is the best so far. Extraction 2 is just this brutal, hard-hitting, no-nonsense action movie starring Chris Hemsworth that has action sequences that will just make your jaw drop to the floor. And honestly, I'd dig an Extraction 3 at this point. Number 7 is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. The Covenant is definitely something we needed this year. A movie about a patriotic guy that just cannot let this man who saved his life die. The entire movie is just about this one guy trying to save an Afghan who saved his life because the Afghan is now wanted by the Taliban. And throughout this movie you see his courage, his objectiveness, his patriotism, and his willing to sacrifice his life for the sake of fulfilling a debt, really. Number 6 is The Iron Claw. This is the most recent movie that I've reviewed on this list. I think, yeah, it was actually the last review I did. But The Iron Claw, regardless of whether or not you're a wrestling fan, which I'm not all that into that kind of sports, but you can enjoy this movie. And I really loved this film. Zac Efron, for the first time in his career that I noticed, delivered a great performance. You feel bad for this family as they go through this series of tragedies. And honestly, by the end of the movie, as much of an emotional roller coaster as it is, you're entertained. Number 5 is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. By the end of the movie, you're eagerly anticipating Part 2. Because it's just great setup. It's great setup. It's thrilling, it's suspenseful. Ethan Hunt is a really good character, a really good lead, and Tom Cruise is just doing a really good job as him. And the film is just extremely good. Number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This movie was sandwiched in between Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and also The Marvels. 2 really bad movies that Marvel released this year. And this movie showed that if they actually bothered to hire real artists to make their movies, they would still be making good movies. And also, just let them do their job. James Gunn showed here that Marvel still has it in them. It's just they're making a lot of bad decisions. Some of them involve, I don't know, promoting woke stuff. And instead, Gunn made all the right decisions. The movie's timing with its comedic moments, emotional moments, dark moments, thrilling moments are all perfect. You have a great villain, great story. The movie is just top tier what the MCU should be. And this is the only MCU movie that has any of that in it this year. Number 3 is John Wick Chapter 4. With John Wick Chapter 4, we got the concluding chapter of John Wick's story. And honestly, I cannot think of anything more fulfilling than this movie. John Wick is probably the best modern character ever created, at least in modern cinema. And he is just this insanely efficient assassin. The action sequences are violent and brutal. The story they created for John Wick Chapter 4 is incredibly good. Just everything about this movie was insanely good. Number 2 is Godzilla Minus One. With Godzilla Minus One, we finally got the classic Godzilla back. This ruthless force of destruction. I definitely prefer this type of Godzilla over the Americanized Godzilla. Even though I've liked, the American Godzilla's movie so far. With this Godzilla, everything just felt like Godzilla. And on top of that, you've got a good story. You've got some of the best characters to ever be created for a Godzilla movie. And despite its insanely low budget, all the CGI effects are great. Or I should say almost all of them. But you cannot look at Godzilla in this movie and sit there and not suspect that they spent more money on this movie than they did. And number one is Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom tells the true story of Tim Ballard and his quest to end human trafficking. And honestly, this movie, I can see why it created a rallying cry. Because not only is this movie insanely good, but it has an insanely important message in it about the horrors of human trafficking. I've heard some people compare it to Uncle Tom's Cabin, and I just cannot think of a better comparison. It's a really good movie. The people who made this film, they definitely put filmmaking over the message, but never neglected the message, which is arguably one of the few times a filmmakers ever talked about something that was actually important. Well, those are my top 10 movies of this year. I know I didn't get to see every movie. However, of the ones I've seen, those are my favorite. Before I end, just a quick little honorable mention to Oppenheimer and also The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Both of them nearly made this list. However, I couldn't fit them on here. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Please will look forward to more videos real soon. Please also hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, please remember, the jet ski will return.